It's glorious, isn't it? Oh, man, this is great. This is great. I have an overwhelming sense, a feeling of gratitude. Gratitude for him, for the American people. I'm so relieved, so relieved. All right, so President Trump did it, and we did it, and God did it. God. Lots of things to talk about right now. President Trump, yes, the American people who saw through all the nonsense, the phony convictions and all that stuff. And God, absolutely. You hear that phrase, right? Thank God, thank God. I say it all the time, you know, the lunch arrives on time, you know, I use it a little bit too casually, right? And I don't really think about what it means. I hear people say it after a game, that kind of thing, but truly, thank God. He allowed this to happen. He's in charge of everything. I think we all know that, right? And me personally, I mean, this is my children. They'll be safe, or at least I know they'll have a fighting chance. And the government will be working for a level playing field. And the culture hopefully will get rid of and forget all of this woke nonsense. We're on the right trajectory, right? I know this wasn't done for me, but I am a major beneficiary. I really am. And the horrible nonsense that we have had to endure has finally, the American people have rejected it. They have rejected it. How did it happen? President Trump, yes. The people, yes. But God, he allows these things or he doesn't allow these things. It's in the Bible. It is. So many times you hear about it. Daniel in the den, right, with those lions, God was with him. God was with President Trump, and he was with all of us as we went through our struggles, as we go through our struggles. But unique, actually, to the leaders who are elected. President Trump, what do you want to call him? A leader. Let's say, well, the Bible, king. He's not a king, but I think this actually, take a look at this verse, if you would, from the book of Daniel, second chapter, 21st verse. He changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others. That's what God does. Deposes kings, raises up others to be the king. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. I believe that. I see that. It would have been great if President Trump had been reelected in 2020, right? Outright, overwhelmingly. But God had a bigger and better plan, perhaps. You can look at it that way. Yeah, he put Donald Trump through the ringer, right? These fake convictions, everything, the ordeal. I think it made him better. I think it made us better, perhaps, to see what the government is capable of. If they can do that to him, what can they do to us, each and every one of us? We are now more vigilant than ever before. It looked terrible at the time. But I can see now the greatness. You have to go through the valley to get to the mountaintop, right? How about Joe Biden? I think God wanted to expose this man. I think he wanted to expose the corruption in a way that had not been quite achieved in 2020, but now we all know he lied to us. His family lied to us. The lawyers lied to us. You get all this in public service? No, he was serving himself. Jack Smith, you know, he was fired, not fired, but he basically resigned, right? They have canceled all the federal cases. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that beautiful? And back to President Trump. He is so much better prepared now than he would have been even in January of 2021. You know, in some ways, he was a little bit naive, right? He thought that maybe President Obama would tell him the truth, that maybe the American government would not scheme and plot and conspire against a democratically elected president, but they did. This is the first meeting between Barack Obama and then President-elect Trump in 2016. He's President-elect now. Obama is lying when he says this.
I want to emphasize to you, Mr. President-elect, that we now are going to want to do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you succeed, then the country succeeds.
So, Mr. President, it was a great honor being with you, and I look forward to being with you many, many more times in the future. Thank you so much.
One man was speaking honestly, President Trump. The other one was engaged in a campaign of deception. In that very office, they had already discussed ways to bring down Trump, ways to stop him. And they almost did, didn't they? President Trump will return to this office wiser, more experienced, and in some ways kind of like invincible almost. Hey, and this should be a priority. Barack Obama needs to leave Washington, D.C. This is his mansion in Washington, D.C. It is so thoroughly against tradition, against our heritage, for a former president of the United States to hang around Washington, D.C. I think it happened once. Woodrow Wilson, he was an invalid. He couldn't leave. This was all about running the government even while President Trump was president, or at least trying to. And I know that President Trump is not going to run a revenge administration, but we can have some accountability, there should be, for the following individuals at least. This is John Brennan. He was a CIA director, and there is evidence to indicate that he may have broken the law in an attempt to, well, sabotage the presidency of Donald Trump. In his own book, he essentially admits as much. This has got to be investigated, all right? And Jim Comey, this guy boasted, bragged about how he was trying to undermine the democratically elected president. And what about Liz Cheney and those sham January 6 hearings, huh? I mean, none of that's right. And we should have some accountability, don't you think? And talk about one of the weirdest things in presidential politics campaign history. Kamala Harris thought it would be a good idea to hang around Liz Cheney for the final campaign swing. Yeah, she's got a lot of appeal. She doesn't. You see the hand of God in all this, don't you? It goes without saying what happened to President Trump when he was shot. In this moment, actually, President Trump has said since that at this moment he knew he was going to be safe. He knew he was going to be okay. It's just incredible. And maybe God, I know he understood this. Maybe this is part of what he wanted. You know, Joe Biden talked about religion almost as if it were a joke. He always had a punchline about, I don't know, he bragged about how well he knew the Pope. Joe Biden never spoke like this.
Religion and Christianity are the biggest things missing from this country, and I truly believe that we need to bring them back, and we have to bring them back fast. I think it's one of the biggest problems we have. That's why our country is going haywire.
Haywire indeed, Mr. President. So God is in control of everything. He can allow bad things to happen, yes, and he allows them to happen for a reason. MAGA, the Make America Great Again movement, tough, stayed with him. And they're savvy, they're smart. We are savvy, we are smart, right? And we're tough, and we're in it for the long haul. And you know what? Folks are not in the MAGA movement. Not everybody digs the hats. Okay, that's fine. But a lot of them voted for President Trump. And that's awesome. And we're figuring out, some people are finally, the left, a rude awakening for them, that the color of one's skin, the ethnicity, whatever, where you come from, it doesn't matter. We don't care about that stuff. We care about ideas. There's a remarkable new platform out there. It's called Two-Way. It's run by our friend Mark Halpern. You see him on Newsmax all the time. He started this thing. It's basically I don't know what you call it, a conference call, right? Mark says something, and then some other big political heavyweights say some stuff, and then they open it up to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. And some of the viewers, some of the people, you could see the MAGA movement spreading. And even if they weren't MAGA, they were onto something. They didn't like being lied to. The lies were so obvious. This is a woman, I thought she was fantastic, and she wasn't always with Trump, but she sure is now. She's wearing a MAGA hat. You're about to see her.
I don't believe in identity politics, right? I don't want to be a part of that. And going into work as a professional Black woman in corporate America who's degreed, I have a master's degree. I grew up in Indiana, right? I live in the Midwest, and having these identities pushed onto me that, well, you must be an urban Black woman. You must be offended by this because I think you should be offended by this because he said something that should be offensive to you. Um, Even what happened at Madison Square Garden, where, oh, there was a joke made about Puerto Rico, not Puerto Ricans.
And she made a lot of other points. You know, she saw right through the Charlottesville stuff. That was a big moment for her. Oh my gosh, the media are lying. They're lying. Everybody's lying. Everybody's lying. So President Trump made amazing inroads with communities that the left, well, they're in a panic mode right now. They've never seen anything like it. I'm very hopeful for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to talk specifically about the January 6ers. So many of them incarcerated. They didn't break anything. They didn't hurt anybody, but their lives have been ruined, and I think they should be restored. Here's Big O. He put his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Big deal. The door was open. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. Whatever. Give him a parking ticket. Give him something. Give him whatever, but this guy's life has been turned upside down because Nancy Pelosi's desk, really? You know, she does work for us. And technically, I think we own that furniture. If you got a problem there, you got a problem with the Capitol Police officer who left the door open, maybe even on purpose. I'm very hopeful for the family of Ashley Babbitt. You know, they're suing the federal government because what happened to her was a crime, wrongful death. That can't happen. Of course, the Justice Department fighting it tooth and nail, right? They don't want to give an inch. Well, I think there's going to be a shift, and there should be, very, very much so. The Aaron Babbitt, late husband, he's around still, of course. It's widower. I never got good at that word, widower. It doesn't sound right to me, but the widower and his relatives, they all need to be restored. Enrique Tarrio, from the Proud Boys, right? Guy's not a white supremacist, and the Proud Boys aren't a white supremacist organization. Another big fat lie that we've been told. That man is, I think, what did he get? Something like 12 years in jail, maybe more. He wasn't even there on January 6th. It's crazy. It is crazy. So I'm hopeful for these guys and so much more. I also have real contempt, quite frankly, for Kamala Harris. That she went ahead with this knowing how unqualified she is. She had no business. Oh my gosh, you say, Joe Biden bows out. Oh, well, thank you. You got to find somebody else. I obviously was a rotten vice president. Everybody saw how bad I was. I have no, you know, there's some indication that Joe Biden came out right away and endorsed her to kind of screw the process because he was so mad at what they had done to him, because they don't like each other, right? You know that. They can't stand each other. Joe and Kamala. Remember what happened in 2019? She called him a racist. It's kind of tough stuff to get over, especially in politics. All right, what else? President Trump and what he did. You know, I could play that big speech last night, and actually, instead of showing you clips, I want to urge everybody to watch it online for themselves. Watch the whole thing. This soundbite culture that we live in, I'm kind of sick of it, right? Because it can be manipulated. All kinds of bad things can happen. I am going to play you a soundbite, though, in the next block. Something he said about Elon Musk. The moment last night was pretty cool. You know what he did? He told the story about the rocket again. The rocket landing on that pad and what a big deal it was. And I know some people rolled their eyes. Oh, why is he talking about that again? Well, there's a reason. And the contrast between what we just went through and Donald Trump's embrace of the meritocracy, of the pursuit of excellence, greatness, it was beautiful. We'll have more on that and some other things. I got to admit, I'm a little bit tired. I stayed up, right? Did you? But it was worth it. I'm so happy. I hope you are too. We'll be right back.